Welcome to Gaming on a Budget. Today we bring you Star Wars Rebellion from Fantasy Flight Games. Now, Rebellion is for the most part a dedicated two-player game. There are rules to play it as a team, four-player kind of dealy, but its real focus is on the two-player. Now, in Rebellion, we will be playing two wildly different sides, the Galactic Empire and the Rebellion. I say wildly different because these two are almost playing two separate games, really. The Empire, as one would expect, is focused on, heavy assault. Pretty much everything they do, pretty much everything they do is visible, to all players, and, they do it with overwhelming force. They're playing a, building and conquest kind of game, area control, really. Whereas the Rebellion is really more just trying to stay alive and stay hidden long enough for sympathy in, the universe to reach a level where the Rebellion can really gain its legs and, start to make real change in the galaxy. So, we're going to do this by going through three phases. The assignment phase, where we will choose to assign our leaders to mission cards. Let's say that was something I wanted to do, and I wanted to send Princess Leia to do it. At this point, I set the card down, put the leader on it, and later we'll resolve the card. Now, you can also do things like play your little special action cards you'll get throughout the game. Some of them will indicate that they are played during the assignment phase, which we'll try and demonstrate for you during the gameplay. Beyond that, you'll really just be, picking the missions your leaders go on. That's going to be the main thing you do in the assignment phase. Then you come to the command phase, where you will take turns, starting with the Rebels, right? The Rebels go first? Yeah, I'm pretty sure, but I'll double check that. You'll take turns resolving either one of your mission cards or using a leader to activate a system. For example, if you wanted to say, let's say I had an Imperial leader here, and I want to come over here and attack this system. The way I'm going to do it is by placing one of my unassigned leaders into this sector and then pulling in troops from adjacent sectors. Once troops have been pulled into a sector with a leader, they can no longer be moved again, so you can't chain your movements. You get to move them once per round. So, I do this and I choose which troops to move over, respecting transport limits. To travel between planetary systems, you need your units to have transport capacity, that little number in the lower left there on the board. So using this Star Destroyer here, I could transport up to 6 units that are not capable of transport on their own, such as these TIE fighters or these, little ground trooper guys here, AT-STs and stormtroopers, I believe.
Yes.
Not a huge Star Wars nerd, so I may mess up the terminology here and there.
You have seen them all.
I've seen them, yes, and they're not bad. But anyway, activating a system with a leader. Also, some missions will state that it is an attempt to undertake them. So, if, for example, Darth Vader wanted to come over here and, do something terrible with one of his mission cards, but the card was labeled as attempt, let's say that one of these unassigned leaders over here could come over and oppose them in response. Not as a separate action, not utilizing their turn, but in response to what happened there. You can also do that in response to combat starting. So if Vader had come over here to bring a bunch of troops to start a fight, a leader could be placed here to counter him. What that's going to do is, written along the bottom left and right side are two numbers. The number in blue represents how many space tactic cards you get to draw at the start of battle, and the number in orange represents how many ground tactic cards you get to draw. these are going to be useful little functions like blocking damage or dealing damage or various things like that. They're handy, not necessary to win a fight, but definitely a good thing to have.
Yes.
So, we'll go back and forth like that, resolving and attempting to resolve missions, activating sectors, until we've each, run out of leaders that we want to utilize. You can, pass at any time and sit out the rest of the round. Though you can still respond even when you're passed.
Can you?
Yeah. But then finally, once we're both done with the various command actions we want to take, we'll go into the refresh phase, where we'll do cleanup. We'll advance our little ships along the various building tracks here, and do things like draw probe cards and things like that. So, what's a probe card, you're probably wondering? Well, remember how I mentioned that the rebels want to stay hidden? That's because they will choose a secret location for their rebel base at the start of the game. The Empire player will have no idea where this is at the start. I mean, it could be any of these planets except the ones the Empire started on.
Yep, those are removed from the game.
Yep. Though, it's handy to leave them with the Imperial player so that they can have a little reminder of what they were. Because later in the game, it can be hard to remember exactly where it was you started. But, so, this will be a probe card indicating where the secret rebel base is. And they can do various things, to move to and from that base, hopefully without giving away its location too much. But mainly the Empire is going to be trying to dig through this probe deck as fast as they can, because every probe card they have is one place the rebel base cannot be. Even if it later gets moved, the new location will be chosen from a pool of cards remaining in the probe deck, so the Empire can steadily whittle down the possible locations the base could be in. They can also do that through, simple process of deduction, because if you bring ground troops into any system and they're unopposed, or they win the combat, the rebel player will have to tell you if the base is there, because they're looking around the planet going, hey, is there a base around here? Trying to find it. Also, if the Imperial player, through various card play and the like, can gain loyalty in a system, even if they have no ground troops, that will still reveal the presence of the rebel base, because the local populace narcs them out or something.
These are the droids you were looking for.
Now, if the Imperial player could ever have ground troops at the rebel base's true location without any opposition ground troops present, win the combat or find it unguarded or what have you, they win the game. They crush the rebel base and the rebellion becomes, a footnote in history. Now, the rebellion is trying to get sympathy in the galaxy. They will do this by completing various objective cards throughout the game, which can be all sorts of things, from, destroy a Star Destroyer in combat to, control a bunch of systems in a region being one of these, marked out orange surrounded sections of systems. And doing so will let them move their sympathy token closer to the time token, the round token. If these two ever meet, the rebels have won the game. They've created enough sympathy that, the galaxy's behind them. So there's, several other little things going on here, but this is probably enough preamble for you to follow what's going on. And as usual, we'll explain, kind of what's going on as we do it, because we feel it makes a lot more sense that way when you actually see it happening. And also, of course, the usual disclaimer for something this large and meaty. There's a decent chance we'll screw up a rule or two here or there.
Yeah.
We try and make notes and such when people point them out to us, but remember, this is not a learn to play video. This is a, gameplay run-through kind of thing. So, with all that said, let's get on over to the gameplay and conquer the galaxy.